back to the Off-Grid family. Today I'm going to be making an outdoor rabbit hutch for indoor rabbits. I'll just give you a quick background. We went to buy our daughter some rabbits a few years ago, and we, being the family we are, we decided we'd look in the place where they needed rescuing and so on. We'd had a little bunny rabbit lined up, and then we thought, well, we'll just check, see if there's any that need rescuing, and there was 2 of them. And they'd been together for about a year in captivity, just in this cage in the store, and we thought that's not fair, so we decided, oh well, we'll get those 2. It cost us more in the long run to buy those 2 and give them the donations and so on than it would have to buy the bunny, the little baby bunny, but we were fine with that. And it was only when we'd sort of got them home we realised that they'd been inside for all that time. And so we thought, well, we're going to have to build them some sort of indoor house. Now, we don't have a lot of room in our house, and I built them something, and it's lovely and all that, but it just takes up too much room. So what we've decided to do is I'm going to build them an outdoor hutch, but it's going to be insulated, and basically when they're in there, they're going to be hot as anything, and it just gives them some access to outside. And there's a lot of do's and don'ts about rabbits and chickens getting together, but we have separate areas within our garden where the rabbits can go while we research whether it's a good or bad idea to let them mingle properly, because it'd just be nice to let all the animals get together, because like my dog won't attack any animals at all, so it's happy to go out with the chickens, it's happy with the rabbits. In fact, it sometimes sleeps in front of their indoor hutch now, just for a bit of company, which I think is quite nice. But it would just be nice to have all the animals, you know, having a bit of the garden, even if we can't have them mingling as such. So I'm going to have to make this hutch very robust. It's going to have to be thick walls where I can fill them with insulation of some kind and various other bits and pieces. So it's not going to be just a normal, you know, a couple of sheets of wood and a roof on it. I'm making this as I go along. I like making it up as I go along. I don't really know what I'm doing as a design. I've got a few ideas in my head, but that's as far as I got. So I thought, well, I'll just start making it and see where it leads me, kind of thing. But let's just get on with it, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I've started by cutting pieces of wood at 45-degree angles. I think this is 35 inches and 17 inches, but it was just about the size I wanted. There was no sort of there's no reason for that. You could upscale or downscale this to whatever size you want. Now, I've done them at 45-degree angles because I'm hoping to plonk some wood on it and then fill it in, but I'll explain all that later. So what I need to do now is just screw into these and tighten it all up. Now, you don't need to glue this or anything, because there will be a plank of wood, solid plank of wood going on the top, which means that it will hold it all square and everything on its own. I only need to make sure that they're just, you know, screwed into place until I've screwed the other piece on. Okay, so there it is. That's simple as that, but as you see, it's very, very thick. So when I've put one side of wall on, I can fill it with insulation, and then I can put the outer walling on. It's not the most square piece of wood I've ever done, but it doesn't matter. So these are some bits of wood I've got left over, and I've cut them to size. They're not that you can see, because they're the same colour as my desk. All from the same place, obviously, my daughter's bed. So I'm going to screw these in now, and then I'll have one side complete. Okay, so I've done it. It's not the prettiest job, but at the moment it doesn't have to be. So I've done both of these now. So now I need to sort out both ends and the top and the bottom. I've cut all the wood that I need for the framing of either end of it now. So I'm going to connect all these together. And I thought, being efficient, I'd get all of my feather edge boarding out of storage outside and dry it out. And it started to pour with rain, obviously. So I've got loads of wet wood now that I wanted to start doing today, but I'm not going to get the chance to, which is a pain in the bum. But I'll connect these together and be back. Okay, there's the 2 frames now. Next, I need to connect the inner paneling. I'm not sure whether I'm going to be insulating both ends, because there's going to be a section in the centre, so there'll be a place for them to sleep, which will be fully insulated, and then a door out into another bit where their food and drink will be, and then a door out to the outside world. So I'm not sure if I'm going to insulate everything, but if I've got enough expanding foam, then I will. So the next thing now is just to connect both pieces of this board to either end, either frame I mean. Both sides are now connected. I need to fill these all with the insulation, the spray foam now. And then I'm going to spray paint all of the inner edges. So this is the basic premise of it. It's going to have a section here, which will then be their sleeping section, and it will all be insulated on all four sides and on the top. Possibly on the bottom as well. It's all dependent on how much spray foam I've got. I've only got one bottle. It was for another project, but I can get another one eventually. But I need to now spray all of the inside edges and, you know, waterproof them basically. This is just chipboard with a bit of scabby paint on. And I need to then insulate by spray foaming on the insides. Two done, 3 spray paint bottles empty. First off, sorry for the extreme transformation, but I was getting too hot. Secondly, you saw me spraying the actual one side of the chicken coop white. I changed my mind. It was taking too long and we haven't had a dry day since, so I'm not going to get to go out and do any more spray painting. So I'm going to leave it as is because I'm going to be putting a special type of plastic mat down anyway. So it won't make much difference apart from the aesthetics of it all. The next thing I need to do is spray expanding foam in all the places that I want insulated. So that's my next job. Right, when I was younger, they said on the sides of the spray bottle, the spray foam bottles, that they'd fill a bathtub. You know, the equivalent amount to fill a bathtub. They don't do that anymore. I was managed to spray one end and fill that up, and then I've sprayed a tiny bit into one of the sides. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to make a bracket like halfway down that I can then fill with some sort of insulation. I think I'm going to use fiberglass and then cover. So we'll have spray foam and fiberglass insulation, which I wanted fiberglass in the roof, but I'm going to have to do it in the sides and maybe come up with a new plan for the roof. Okay, this is the end that is going to be closest to where the rabbits are, and I've filled it completely with spray foam, let it cure, and I've sliced off the excess. Now I have to fill the both sides, not all the way up, but just the amount where they are going to sleep. So I'm going to partition it off, so there's going to be a sleeping area, and then there's going to be an area where their food and drink will be. This is one end, and I've just made a partition. I haven't secured it in yet, and this is the spray foam that I cut off the other piece, and I'm actually just going to use that. Let me see if I can get this out without too much trouble. And I'm actually just going to stick the spray foam like that. So I'll stick that in with some spray adhesive, so it will be solid there. Now I don't know how this, I think the spray adhesive should be fine with this, but I'm not 100% sure. It's all a learning experience, isn't it? Okay, this is just cheap spray adhesive I got from the pound shop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shake it up, and I'm just going to spray a small area on the foam. Because, for example, if this was polystyrene, then it would probably just like start to melt. This obviously isn't, and I doubt that there'll be a reaction, but I want to test it in a small area first. Yeah, there would be an almost instantaneous reaction, and there wasn't, so When using spray adhesive, do it in a well ventilated area. Now you wait 2 to 3 minutes just to make sure it goes a bit tacky, a bit sticky, and then put the two edges together. Okay, now it's gone all tacky. I'm not sure if you can hear that. So this can go on. Now I need something heavy to put down on it. And now I've just got to wait for it to dry. But that's now 2 sides I've insulated enough for the rabbits. The next thing is the other side. I don't have any more spray foam, unfortunately, so I'm going to actually have to use fiberglass from an old cooker. So I'm going to use that in the third part. And I'm hoping there'll be enough there for the roof as well. Okay, that's been about 10 minutes and it's stuck fast now. So that's another side insulated. I might need to cut a tiny bit off of this bit here, which I'll do now. There we go. Okay, so this is the basic mock-up of it at the moment. I need to screw it all together. But what I need to do is, after I've screwed it all into, you know, so it's just a solid block almost, I need to cut out a door, and then I need to get the insulation in the other side, and I need to start shoving feather edge boarding on it. So I think I'm going to be screwing it in next. Just to show you, that's the insulation on this side. There isn't actually insulation on this side yet. That was just what was left in the can of the spray foam, but that side's going to be covered in fiberglass as well, so that'll be fun. Right, so I've screwed it all together now. The piece of wood you can see in the bottom is just keeping the screws off the floor. There's a few jaggedy screws that I've just taken chunks out of the flooring. And the next thing I've done is I've cut a piece of wood. This was an old TV stand, and unfortunately it's just too small to be the base. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a batten of wood across the edge. Okay, so the batten's now in, which just closes the gap a little bit more. It doesn't bother me that there's a slight gap because I'm going to be putting some tiles in the bottom to make it easier to clean. So I just got to screw it all in now. Okay, so the plan was to put the feather edge board around it now and then cut bits out like for the door and so on, but it is so heavy at the moment. I've decided I'm going to do all the stuff first. I'll cut all the feather edge board to the right size. What I've decided to do is I will cut everything to the right size, take it out into the garden, and I will actually put all the feather edge boarding on there. I'll make the roof complete, you know, because that'll be easier to carry, but it's just too heavy, you know, even with something to push it along on, it will be too heavy. So if I just get everything else done that I can, and then I'll put the final touches on when I'm outside, I think. Okay, now let's just orientate you. This is the bottom, and this is where the door's going to be. This still hasn't been attached to make it easier for me to cut the door out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a couple of holes, well, 4 holes, where I'm then going to use the jigsaw to cut through it. But I need to measure out what size I think I need the door and so on. Okay, it's not the greatest image for you, but I've done a rough rectangle, and what I'm going to do now is drill 4 holes in the corners that are big enough to allow the saw for my jigsaw through it. Well, that's a straight line. Okay, that's me done for today. I will be bringing out another video tomorrow, continuing this until it's finished. It might take one more video, it might take two, it might take three, I honestly don't know at this point. If you're not a regular, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.